Now, you know that Ms. Heard was...
Excuse me. I
I'm sorry?
didn't hear the beginning of what you started saying.
I said, let's start with the makeup.
Okay.
Okay. Are you familiar with Amica cream?
What is it?
Amica?
Amica?
Yes.
No.
Okay. And you don't know whether she had applied Amica cream, correct?
No.
And
I
you-
didn't even know what Amica cream is.
Do you know whether she had applied any Amica cream that morning to her face?
No.
In any of those three and a
When?
half years, do you know whether Amber had any Amica cream on that day?
No.
Do you know whether she was wearing any Amica cream?
Sir, if you could just answer
I'm
this
sorry.
question.
Hey there, to all you fine folks. I'm doing a test stream right now, trying to try out a few things. Today is my birthday, but I will be streaming later on the regular channel. I'm trying to test something out. I had a major hardware fail yesterday. Lost a hard drive, and something else burned out on my computer. I was like, oh my God, what is going on here? So yeah, I'm testing out a smaller laptop to see, first of all, if it can set in, it can handle some of the weight of some of the stuff I do. That is pretty much a no. It doesn't handle everything, but it handles a little bit of something. Yeah, I thought I would sit here for a second and check out. So how you folks doing this morning? I figure we have about a 30-minute stream here, just like I said, see how this thing sets up, see exactly what it can take and on, and well, we'll talk about just whatever's here. If you want, by the way, you like what we do, we are not a monetized channel over here, but if you do like what we do, then you can support. We have a PayPal link on our main site, all of that. You know how that drill is by now. Like I said, we'll do something on the main side too. So tomorrow, I want you all to remember this. Tomorrow, the trial, when it kicks off, it will not kick off at the normal time. It will kick off an hour earlier than typical. So my time, typically the trial kicks off, at what? I think it was kicking off at 9, 8. I don't even remember anymore. We got to get up an hour earlier. So it'll be a mess tomorrow, I think, because there will be a lot of networks and other places that won't remember the time change. And not only that, you start an hour early and you leave an hour late. So they extended the time. The judge is desperate to make sure that this ends by Memorial Day. They will do anything they can. And I kind of hate that in a way. It astounds me if we sat down and we were dealing with, say, like a mafia case, if they were trying someone in the mafia, right? For example, this trial could go on for 18 months or more. I mean, no joke, no joke. If that was the case, if they wanted to put away someone like that, but when you're talking about someone just destroying someone's life and you're trying to prove innocence, you better stick to that timetable, baby, or they will burn you down. I mean, it's astounding when you think about it. We we're going to get to Cross soon. The Cross is going to be fascinating. I'm going to have a video. I started talking about this a little bit yesterday, but we're going to have a video that will talk about the judge pretty much wrecking her for trying to submit fake evidence. And on top of that, I had a little discussion with a source at Disney. I was talking about them about whether or not, well, there was anything left for her there, and yeah, it's not a good place for her. Apparently, it's gone very, very badly. So I thought that would be it. For the Brits, it starts at 3, so now it's starting at 2. Well, that's right in the middle of your day, so that's not terrible. That's actually like a prime time show for you. Here, it's not bad here. The one thing that sucks, I guess, is I like to drop a video in the morning and a video after the trial. And dropping a video in the morning, you'd be talking about like dropping a video at 5 a.m. our time. So you wouldn't have a lot of time to prep it. And YouTube right now is terrible about suppressing this stuff. And what I mean by suppressing is the fact that if you have like a certain networks, they get things through, bam, because they're a network, right? And certain people, odds and ends, can get things through. But by and large, what you're seeing is an approval time put on her name, period. So if you want to put something through, sometimes it takes a day, sometimes it takes 2 to get something through. And that affects 2 things. It affects monetization, but it also affects reach. Like yesterday, I had a problem with my last video, which was a pretty good one, I thought, with with evidence added on. Again, it's all take it how you will, but with enough evidence, I think it says plenty. But it was of the remote control that was utilized by her to do a little bashing, and it fits up with a Kevin Murphy story that he told in 2016. He told in 2020, and it's been consistent. It's been consistent for 4 solid years. That's her problem, is consistency. She's even right now trying to, did you know that she's trying to adjust her timeline? Again, she's actually trying to widen it. She tried that in the courtroom and got busted for it. That's why the judge wrecked her on it, because she tried to go out of her established timeline. So she actually tried to widen her timeline, going from she's already taken it all the way back to 2013. Well, she tried to expand that further and go all the way back to 2012, which that's crazy when you think about it. Rumor is at Disney, no, there is no truth about rehiring for Pirate 6. No truth at all. Nothing has been said. See, there are people out there. I can tell you that, like, 100%. There has been no discussion in that. I have in this case, many people would claim, I heard this there. I am hearing it from sources that are very. I don't know how to say that without making it. Without making too much of a statement. Let's just say I very much know that that's not true. I very much know it's not true. Now, could that change? Possibly. But you know what? You have to assume, here's the problem. It wasn't changed on, number one, it wasn't changed on the Johnny Depp side. Like, he has been adamant he's not going to go back. But number two, in the middle of this trial, they're suing her for the loss of Pirate 6. They couldn't get into negotiations about picking back up Pirate 6, because if you did, you would defeat your own case. So that's not real. But I can tell you, like, Disney has disrespected that man to levels that people just don't understand. Like, again, I have it on very good authority that, like, when they had video games come out, for example, they didn't contact him at all. They didn't contact him or his lawyer. They didn't contact anyone associated with him whatsoever. They just passed him by. And that's been the norm from jump with this trial. They've just bypassed him because they figure they can. Why not? So yeah, and the reason I like to set things like that straight too is because that rumor gives hope, and that hope reflects positively on Disney. And that's not, we shouldn't have any positive association with a company that's pulled the things that they've pulled. If it ends up getting rectified, that's great. If he ends up remedying it, that's great. But that hope is dangerous because it puts it, first of all, it lets people think something that's not going to happen right now. And number two, it again, it fills their coffers with money because people think, well, that's okay. Well, I guess I'll go back to spending. And you shouldn't. I think people should honestly, they should boycott companies to the degree that they go beyond just one movie, say like Pirates. I think they should hold them very accountable. How's the quality of the sound here sound, by the way? I'm curious about it. So how's the quality with this? Like I said, this is more of a test stream than anything. If I wanted to have a real stream, I have a channel for it. I have a monetized channel for it. But like I said, I wanted to test this. I wanted to see how the sound was. All right, good. I'm using my regular microphone. I will probably buy a condenser mic or something, a better mic even. I mean, I like this microphone, but if you want real quality, like there's an upgraded one. God, they cost like $500 though, but I'm still thinking about buying one because it'll take the sound to that next level. It cuts down on too. You can hear like in my videos when I won't. The one thing I don't cut out is breathing. If you're going through and making a statement and you breathe, it picks it up and it picks it up loudly, and I don't cut that out. And I think like one of those microphones will cut down on that. It'll cut down on the sharpening of that sound, and it'll cut down on the stuff that a popping filter does not actually catch. Pop filter will catch some of the distance to the microphone and stuff, but it didn't catch everything. Anyway, that's technical garbage. Yeah, $500. Yeah, exactly. Holy crap. I mean, like microphones alone, like a introductory decent microphone, like when you get into stands and stuff. I mean, you get the microphone maybe $120. Then with stand and everything, I mean, you're out $170 usually. I mean, if you buy all the stuff that you really need, I mean, you can buy one that just sits on your desk, but that's not what you need. You need it in front of your face, hanging there. It needs to have a shock setup and everything. But yeah, I'm thinking about, like I said, buying one of those. Hell, the setup that people like Yellow Flash or Nerdrotic use, I figure they use about a $500 microphone. They have an external soundboard, like a Rodecaster. They're usually about $700, I'd say. So you're probably talking $1,300 just in sound setup alone, and that doesn't count anything else with, I mean, most people are using honestly, with system and everything, they're using about $5,000 or $6,000 set up for computers and stuff. It's hard to get a computer like a cheap crap computer can't even cut video fast enough. I mean, it's just it's terrible. I'm probably going to have to, like I said, I lost a hard drive and I lost two other things in my computer. I can have everything taken out, recover data and all that. It's not a big deal, but the time I will have to go in and I'll have to buy a backup to cover this case because if it takes 3 days, I'll be sitting on the sideline for 3 days, and that's not going to happen. So it's just astounding. You have to buy a computer just to back up, and then we live out in the boonies, so going to even a store like Best Buy. Like Best Buy is like an hour away from me. Like I said, I was telling my wife, I was like, this had to happen. It happened 6 hours before my birthday. I was like, are you kidding me? I lost the video I was working on. I'd already gotten it here for tomorrow. I recut it. And strangely enough, here's a weird thing about YouTube. Like a strange thing. I recut the video and it had more detail in it than typical, and they let that through. It's got a picture in it, like a picture that I thought they're never going to let that through, and they did just through the checks. But it, it's strange. The more quality that you put in, like the more editing and stuff that you put into your videos, the more likely you are to get hit by YouTube. it's it's like they want you to just article read. You know, those people that sit there and just read you an article. They have the least problem getting stuff through. It's crazy. Anyway, that's just rambling today. But what we're looking at next week, we're looking at her sister taking a stand. Her sister, the stuff's fascinating because her sister actually, let me pull this up for you. I've been pulling documents while I'm sitting here. Like I said, I'll probably go 30 minutes. That's about it, all I'll do on this channel. But, and again, if you like what we do, if you want to support our channel, support the main channel. I don't think there's any share links or anything here. You know, I mean, but yeah, the sister. Okay, so Depp's team actually objected to her sister being involved in any way, shape, or form, anyway, because she did not go through the proper channels. She skipped out. How much did you miss? 15 minutes. I've just popped in for a minute. Again, you haven't really missed a live stream. If you want a real live stream, we'll have one tonight. It'll be a good one. It'll be more thought out. It won't be on this channel. It'll be on the main channel. Again, this is more of just a test, just to make sure. This is my desperation equipment. I have a laptop strung in here. It's I'm not very happy with it, but it works. You know, it works. You take what you take. You roll with the punches. You know, if it makes you mad, you yell at it a bit. Maybe you'll kick a few boxes or something, but then you roll with it. I mean, you have to. So it's all good. It is what it is. You know. But anyway, the thing about her, the thing that I found interesting. Let me see if I can blow that up anymore. Is, I mean, listen to this. This is the objection for JD, saying that he didn't want the sister being able to testify. So what a lot of people don't realize, like when I talk about Elon Musk funding all of this, you can tell that Elon funds all of this because he missed out on Lefty Stalker Pixel. I couldn't. I couldn't get on Flash yet. Flash was like, dude, like at the last moment. I was like, dude, I can't help it, man. My whole computer just ate it. What am I supposed to do about this? Yeah. But yeah, I missed out on that. But we missed out on covering case stuff and everything too. The one broadcast that I enjoy is actually Flashcast. I enjoy my own streams, but I enjoy going on Flashcast too. So anyway, most people don't understand that Whitney Hurd and other witnesses are paid for by the same person funding all of this. They have no idea. They don't realize, like, if you present too much of this to people, it almost sounds conspiratorial. And there's a lot of conspiratorial nonsense. Let me tell you a funny thing. So again, if this is you and you're listening, and no shot at you, but you got to think about this stuff, okay? So I have people send me all kinds of just strange conspiratorial stuff. And a certain person had got it in their mind that Hurd did let's just say explicit material online. So they found what they thought was her in explicit material, and they were sending me screenshots to prove it. And they were talking about posting proof and stuff. And I kept thinking, you know, that's a deep fake, right? I didn't respond to it because I was like, I don't even want to be quoted in this chain of messages here. But they were sending me explicit material where, okay, a deep fake is where people fake faces. You'll see that with people goofing off on YouTube and stuff. People do that with explicit material too. They'll put your face on anything, you know, and it's an ugly side of fame. You know, there's the portion where, again, people become obsessed and they fantasize about you. Well, nowadays they can use technology and they can see anything they want, which is disturbing when you think about it. Well, somebody had looked up a deep fake and they were sending me screenshots of this deep fake, oh, you want to expose this. And the point of me bringing that up, first of all, I thought it was funny in a way. I thought it was disturbing, but I thought it was funny too. But you have to be careful about looking at everything a person does as bad. Okay. The person themselves can be a horrible person, but 95% of what they do, even the worst person in the world, 95% of what they do is just mundane day to day crap. I mean, the worst tyrants in the world that have done the most monstrous things ever, they still have regular days. They go through their days. They do monstrous things in their days, but they sit down, they eat, they do everything they do is not, it may lead to something bad, but every action is not a conspiracy or every action is not a bad thing. And some people, they look for every action. And what they miss out on are the express examples of that, the true ones that show this is what you should have been looking for. This right here. Then there's plenty of that in the case. You don't need to go out and find things like that. And really, even more than that, if they had that background, you might have a chuckle out of that, I suppose. But I don't really care if you do that on your own. If they tried to, my thing is, if they try to bring that in and bother someone else with it, like if someone else used that type of material against someone, claiming they were better than them, and they had that found out, or they had that skeleton in their closet, awesome. But otherwise, it doesn't really matter. But anyway, I thought that was interesting because I kept getting sent these freaking deep fake pictures. I was like, oh, that's very explicit. That's very, very explicit. I mean, it's not like I have like Mormon sensibilities or anything, but I thought, man, you should really watch sending that because yeah, you're gonna get yourself in trouble one day doing that. But anyway, so all of these witnesses, like I was saying, they're all paid for by the same person. And the same person, you can, this is where it runs you into trouble because they don't operate. When you hire a lawyer is supposed to look out for your best interest. You're supposed to be their client and their only client. And if they're looking out for someone else's best interest, obviously they can't work out good for you. Tug, how old are you today? I'm not saying. I'm old enough. I am not young, okay? I'm not. Yeah, I am on the dark side of getting older. So I'm not on the young side of it. I'm established, I'm professional. I have my family there. In fact, it's strange to me to think, when I look at, I haven't gotten to the age of get off my lawn yet. Get off my lawn. But I have gotten old enough where I'm like, this culture today is crazy. Like people have lost their ever loving minds, and maybe that's just because people, the most extreme people are amplified. I'm not really sure, but yeah. But I'm older. I maybe. You sound young. I'm not. I'm not young. I'm young at heart. We'll go with that. I'm young at heart. No, I'm not. I'm not young at all. I'm not in my. Let's just say I'm not young at all. I mean, you can, if you're curious about it, you can find out. There's a lot of misinformation in it, but you can find out quite a bit about me. It's been thrown out there. I've been doxxed. So, I mean, you can find that out. The pictures are not good at all, though. They're terrible pictures. These days I probably look like I have facial hair. I have a beard these days. Like you wouldn't be able to recognize me there. My hair's grown out since the beer bug. I don't meet with clientele as much anymore. Nowadays I do different things in mental health. Instead of making sure 8 people a day get services, I make sure, thousands of people get their services a month. I've been able to pick up a lot of skills associated, better skills. And I don't have to be around people as much in that, which is good and bad. It's good to see clientele on a one-to-one basis, but it's better when you make sure that 1,600 clients, you actually find ways to make sure that they get services. I think that's a much better pursuit of that. But anyway, so let me get my point out here, and then we'll ramble for a minute, okay? So the point is, the lawyer for Amber Heard represents the sister as well, and the sister was told that she didn't really have to sit down for deposition. She sat down for half of it, and then got up, claimed a medical issue, and would never sit back down. And JD's team was like, if she's going to testify, we want her to sit for the rest of our deposition because this is garbage, Like how does she get to skip this when we specifically asked for it? How in the heck does that work? And I think that's a good statement, to be honest. I think that JD's team is onto a very good point. So I don't know if she was forced to sit down. I don't know if anything came of it, but I thought it was a good point. I mean, because if any witness can just be like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I have a medical issue. Okay, well, how do you get anyone to testify? There are a lot of weird things in this trial that I kept thinking, why is the judge not sanctioning people for this? The judge should have stepped up harder against some of these people. Like, thanks for all the birthday wishes, by the way. Like I said, we'll have a real stream tonight. We'll find a real topic tonight, and we'll talk about it before the trial thing. We'll have a birthday stream, too. I think it'll be fun. But like I said, today, just to make sure that if my technology fails, I still have a way. Last night, I started streaming. I was irritated with the computer, and I had a good topic. And you can hear me brush my hair. Excuse me. I'm going to the store at 6 a.m. and it's 5:53. So that's why I said about 30 minutes. I may leave a little bit after that, but I'm going to go at 6 freaking a.m. and I'm going to see what I can find as a backup computer. I'll buy it, and then if it's a piece of crap, I'll take it back in a few days. I'll exchange it on the weekend or something. I don't know. But anyway, I'll get something that'll get us through the trial, at least for the week. But when you think about this trial has been full of just so many irregularities. So many. Good luck with the computer. I'll get it done for sure. Is my voice better? Yeah, I'd yelled myself kind of hoarse. There's nobody down here with me, by the way. Just to say, I have a very large our house. One of the beautiful things that YouTube and other things have provided is we've been able to upgrade in my life where my kids, they can have their own rooms, for example. Before, I was able, during the beer bug, we were able to put down on a house. We didn't buy it outright or anything, but we were able to do that. And, like I said, I work in mental health. Like it's a good pursuit, but it's not a very profitable pursuit. Not when you work with poor people. If you work like Amber Heard's expert witnesses do, well, you can have a penthouse place. But if you really want to make a change in life and you want to work with the most needy populations, I mean, you have to deal with like Medicare and Medicaid. And I don't know. For me, I've never gotten cold and callous enough in my life that I can turn those people away. Oh, you don't have insurance? Well, sorry about your luck. I know you really need help, but screw you. I can't do that. Like her expert witness charges $350 a setting. The companies that I work for, if you don't have money, they will get you on a sliding scale. The government will cover the absolute bare minimum. I mean, the government, if you didn't have other ways of paying the bills, you couldn't even keep the lights on paying with them. But the places I've worked for, they'll find a way to get you in anyway. Because I think that's I'm not going to say it's easy to say there's more than money in life. And there is, but at the same time, you need money to, keep the lights on and pay for your home and stuff. But anyway, what I was saying with that is we managed to, we got our own place, and it had a pretty sizable, one of the things that I found necessary is I needed an area to make videos, and I needed an area where I could do what I'm doing now. Just sit in there. It'd be quiet, it'd be separated. So Anyway, when my computer went down, I was not thrilled. You know, I went into the BIOS and everything. I was trying to see if the boot order, because it was going into, you know, the reboot errors. You know, where it asks for rebooting and selecting proper boot drives, and that can be minimal things. It can be just like a nothing problem, or it can mean like your hard drives have gone out and you've had some equipment failure, which I did. And when I had that equipment failure again, I just done a video, so I just finished it up. I hadn't had time to upload it yet, and like I said, right when it did it, I couldn't bring back up Windows. I had restarted my computer from it, and then, like I said, to cut the hard drives and everything else, just it was like, I'm done, I'm dead, we're gone. So at least it did it on a weekend, though. I mean, it could have done it on it could have done it tomorrow in the middle of the trial. That would have been a damn disaster. So, I mean, all in all, there's a bright side. But I yelled at the computer a lot. You know, nobody around me made me feel better. You know, but I yelled myself a little hoarse when I was doing it. But you know, I mean, I didn't beat it or anything, so it's pretty good. It's a pretty good day, all things considered. That's one thing that bothered me about the JD, the witness there. Like this lady said, like hitting or kicking an inanimate object is bad. Yelling is bad. You know what? Like you've got to get that out sometimes. And sometimes, like sometimes you're just so you want to break something. And man, if there's if it's mine, I can break whatever I want. But you know, in that moment, like I said, it irritated me. So the timing of it irritated me. Like I said, it could have been worse. It could have been much worse too. And I should cosplay as ever. Oh my God, that'd be terrible. TRICARE, yes, TRICARE is a mess. We've all been there. Yep. Yeah, I know. Like you know, electronics are just. Yeah, see, I mean, it's human to react with anger. It's a very human thing. There are a lot of things though. I get annoyed by all of it there. Tug's swear jar overfloweth. It does. It does indeed. I try not to get like mad. I mean, yesterday was a mess anyway. The littlest one, she's a holy terror sometimes. She's the cutest little thing, but she is a terror. And she will get into anything. Like if you leave something out, oh God, she'll get in it, she'll spill it, she'll dump it out. You know, I left some powder setting out the other day, like 2 days ago, and she took the lid off of it and spread it all over the house. She got a hold of a fingernail polish thing and spread it all over the bathroom. I was like, oh my God. She, you know, these are things, again, they just got left out because somebody forgot them on the counter or something. We were changing the water to my daughter's oxalotl, and she decided she'd help. So she took $35 in chemicals and dumped them in the sink, trying to dump out water. I was like, no, my God, no. I mean, she knows better than to put anything in her mouth or anything like that. But she's a holy terror, like I say. And she took little umbrella girls. She had just gotten a little Kirby bowl, a little ramen bowl. Like she loves, you know, she loves Kirby, and she loves like little ramen bowls and stuff. She loves that stuff. And the little one picked it up and smashed it. I was like, oh no. So you know, our 8-year-old, she was upset about it. I got her too. I got a replacement and another one there too. But she's so good with her sister, and her sister's so mean sometimes. Because like I said, she's 2. You know, 2-year-olds. They test their boundaries. They see what they can get away with, and shoo, she is a menace. But like I said, she's cute. She's an adorable little menace. But man, she's a menace sometimes. So it's a day like that. Is this bug? That'd be baby umbrella. Yeah, the 2-year-old would be the baby umbrella. We just tell her that, and then the 8-year-old is little umbrella girl. Yeah, little umbrella girl. I mean, she's a great sister. Like she takes up. See, that's the one thing. Like I have trouble faulting. I get. I'm going to say this as a human, and I'm going to say this as just looking at it objectively. Objectively, it's horrible what Amber Heard's sister is doing, going in and faking this stuff for her sister. As a human, I understand it. I understand that Amber Heard manipulated her, probably utilized her mother's death as a way to weaponize her, to get her going. Now that we're together again, we all need to be family. I'm sure that she weaponized that, and she did it very well. She's a classic. She's a very good manipulator. I see, like, my kids. I teach my kids all the time. I'm not teaching them a lie, but I teach them one of the first things that you do is you stand up for your sister. You take care of her. You do anything that you can to watch her back. And that's a rough place to be. As a sister, I have step siblings, that I like, and if that I'm close with, and if something like that came down the pipe, well, it'd be a rough choice, I would hate to be in that position. I would hate to have a classic manipulator like Amber Heard as a sibling, because again, that whole situation that they would put you in. I mean, that would be such a mess. And for Whitney, I try not to. It's a messed up situation. Again, she was terrified of her sister enough that she ran away, that she left, and yet there was a catalyst that brought her back. I think it was her mother's death. I think that's what really. I think Heard manipulated her mother's death to bring her back on board, which is a horrible statement about Heard. But everybody, we want that person that we were around when we were young too, and so we want those things somebody like a manipulator could tell us. And like I said, Amber Heard is a very good manipulator. Excuse me if you hear rattling in the background. I'm grabbing something real quick. Amber Heard is a very good manipulator. Look at all the people she's manipulated. So it's not surprising she should manipulate her sister. Somebody, anybody that knows your weak spots, they're going to get at it. They're going to do it. They're going to do it well. See, a lot of the people that are tied to this, like JD, for example, talked about how good of a person that she was. And she ran. Like I said, she ran from the Eastern Columbia building because she thought that, according to Jennifer Howe and according to Vince Jolivet, she thought that that they were going to see JD get killed. That's why she said her own words, according to Jennifer Howe. She had to bounce because of that. And I very much believe that too. I very much believe that, because if you look at the violence that was taking place, I mean, you'd have to bounce. But again, for people to stay around, people love to bring up sexuality with Amber Heard, saying, well, she must be good in the bed. No, a manipulator knows sex will keep you there for so long. But a real manipulator knows how to take what you need, what you feel, that hole in you, and present whatever you think is needed in that moment. I've worked with manipulators. Like I've worked with manipulators. It's amazing. Like I see them in practice, and even there, if you have a successful manipulator, they know how to manipulate the therapist. I mean, you'll have people with the most horrific charges against them, but they are such good manipulators that, especially like if you have early therapists, you're trying to teach them how to deal with these situations, they'll eat them up. I mean, they will eat them alive because they do not know how to deal with a situation like that effectively. And it's a shame, but I mean, it's the reality of those kind of situations. Yeah, it's 6:06 here right now. You saw the 6:30. Yeah, it's 6:06 here. Yeah. You caught a live. Yeah, well, again, this is on this channel, which is a very rare thing that we do over here anyway. Wow, there's almost 300 of you. Like, tuning in to this. Again, it started out really. I wanted to do a mic check. I have a problem in my life. Let me just be honest about this. One of the reasons I like to stream by myself for two reasons. Number one, I consider every one of you showing up. Like I read the chats and I try to keep up with what's going on. So if something comes up, you're my panel guest. You know, there might be thousands of you there, and your opinion is just as valid as another person that picked up the microphone and talks to me. Now, there's some people I like to stream with. I like Ricada and Yellow Flash. I mean, there's other people I like, many people out there too. But just in streaming, I like to have people on. And there's the second part of there is I like to talk. I like to talk quite a bit. So if like on panels, like I hate panels. I bore me. They bore me so bad. Get like 8 people on there unless they're fun. Like Flashcast, we argue and whatever, and it's usually fun. There's some topics I'm like, I don't care about that topic, and I'll play a video game or something. But I'm not bored on there. But typically, if I'm invited on something, there's like 8 people in there. I'm so bored because you know, I mean, with 2 or 3 people bantering, that's okay. But like I said, I would rather look at what the people that show up they have to say, because it's much more fulfilling in that. Never knew you liked to talk. I know, indeed. You could never tell, could you? Out of curiosity, though, when this is all over, could you do a live stream with one of your sources? It depends on. It depends. It depends. Like I said, you can take a guess. You could make an easy inference over who some of my sources are. I mean, you know, you could easily guess that. Like if I, you know, if I'm supplying emails, well, you figure that out. You know, where did that come from? If I'm saying I have permission to use this, obviously at some point I got permission to use that. So you can draw that inference there. And I say that knowing that one source, again, I don't mind saying that with one source, because I know one source has confirmed in the court. They didn't confirm it in the trial because they didn't present their stuff. But I know one source actually confirmed in their deposition that we had spoken. So I don't mind saying that with one source. But at the same time, I dance around it because I think it frustrates people like Amber Heard. But you could guess at least one source. All right. Now, other sources, like, okay, I've been talking about how I spoke to one of her friends. I want that friend to go on record. But if that friend doesn't want to go on record, that's their prerogative. You should feel free to talk to me about whatever. And I'll see how far you're willing to go. Like, I'll see what you'll say, how I can work it into what I discuss. Some of the things I've discussed, I don't even say that I have sources around it. It allows me to fill in the blanks better. Like, if I told you some of the names with Warner Brothers, for example, it would blow your freaking mind, because some of the people that opened up about this is just mind-boggling. If you mistreat your employees will speak. So stuff like that, it would freaking blow your mind, some of the people there. It would also blow your mind who I can tell you for real keeps up with this stuff. I mean, you know, some of the celebrities that have been named. Well, it would blow your mind to find out, like, some of the people that were there on JD's side and would message me like, yo, and I would think that's not really that person. That can't be them. You know, and look it up, and it came from their verified accounts. They're like, holy crap, that's weird. That's crazy. Again, I don't put a lot of stock into celebrity. That's okay. But it is still strange that the media is so distrusted, and the media is so dishonest about it. They wouldn't tell the truth that it came down to, it came down to people watching. Now, in this trial, after it went live, you see the amount of coverage it got, but it didn't then. It absolutely didn't then. I do also get a laugh out of, there were some people, some pretty high profile people that I tried to get to cover this stuff. And they told me, this doesn't matter. They absolutely told me that. And they're the same people right now that have started covering this case. And I think that's fascinating. Like I said, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. it irritates me. If I were in the mood for a slap fight, if I were in the mood for wanting it's a distraction, so I won't get into that because it's a low road thing. I'm glad that the audience they have sees it, but it's disgusting because I know that the reason many people cover that, they don't they finally decided, well, this guy having his life destroyed mattered because I'll get some clicks from it. And that pisses me off. Like that does, because it should matter with or without it. It's a topic that can sustain itself anyway. You could cover this. I covered it for years and it did well. I thought it did really well for myself. Now, of course, I'm not going to go out and make 100,000 hits off every video or something like that. No way, but still, there has to be a happy medium. It can't, if we're not changing anything with this stuff, and we're just endlessly bitching and moaning, excuse my wording on that, but if that's all we're doing about that, and we don't want to change anything, then what the fuck are we doing? Like, it makes me crazy. And again, excuse my profanity, I'll try to keep that in mind. But it does irritate me. It irritates me quite a bit because, again, what's the point? Like there has to be a solution to it. When you talk about stuff, like I hear people talk about like Hollywood, for example, they complain about Hollywood and its hypocrisy. Well, okay, I get tired of hearing about that. Like I get tired of talking about it sometimes. I'll go through cycles where I enjoy laughing at the stupid and the failure. But if there's no alternative to it, then what does it matter? How many years can you just talk about the same crap? And, you know, like if you can change, like if you can put enough people in the know about something like the miscarriage of justice that this Depp thing is, maybe you can make people think about listen and believe. Although I still find like something that really annoys me, that has been annoying me quite a bit lately. Let me pull this up real quick. Is the stuff about, actually I can't pull shit. I don't have my I was like, man, maybe I'll pull this up. Let me just talk about it then. Okay, so I forget I'm not on my computer, so the Twitter account, this is my wife's laptop actually, and and she doesn't do heavy editing or anything, so pulling up Twitter and stuff, like, yeah, I'm not set up on this anyway, but I've got, like I said, and it's emergency backup. It was my laptop for a while, and it doesn't handle what I need, so I was either going to return it. She was like, nah, I like that, give it to me. I was like, all right, we can buy you one if you really need one or something. But she just wanted it. But anyway, one of the arguments that has been really bothering me now, and I see it trending over and over again on social media, is the idea that when it comes to Johnny Depp, all of this stuff is okay. When it comes to someone like a Marilyn Manson, for example, oh no, we already know he's guilty. How do you know that? How do you know that? Well, more accusers. So number alone, that makes it up, because really, when you get down to him, for example, it's two main accusers. One of those main accusers faked FBI credentials. Like, that's crazy. That should make, and again, if you decide that the man's guilty after looking at evidence, that's fine. But there are many people out there that are like, well, looking at Johnny Depp, it's different. It's okay to cover. But if you talk about this Manson stuff and you think that he deserves the same thing, you're a sexist. Well, then you're just telling me that one person gets a pass, and that is being a hypocrite. Either you haven't thought that through or you're a hypocrite. Because again, I know, like when I'll be like, so what about the stuff where she faked FBI credentials? Well, I've never heard of that. Okay, so you've never heard about the case. Like, you just decided out of the blue because of accusations. Don't you know better? Like, you should know better. To say that people won't pile on a star, especially Marilyn Manson's an easy payday for people. And again, I'm not saying that there couldn't be some validity out there. I'm not saying that at all. The one thing that does bother me, though, is in your mind, once you hear these accusations, you treat it like they're guilty until you can find proof that they're innocent. And that is backwards. That is not justice. You torch their life from day one. They burn their life down. That happened with Depp. It happened with Manson. It's happened with people like Vic Mignogna. It repeats this pattern. It's cyclical and it doesn't stop. And people find a way to keep doing it because they want to pretend that people don't fucking lie. And it disgusts me. And if I have to say that, I will say that about the most repugnant people out there that I think are guilty. Like, again, I know that Bryan Singer, the X-Men director, I know that guy is a pedophile. I know it. He deserves due process. You cannot lynch him in the public. But I know these. I'll put out the evidence there that shows what I think. But at the same time, I'm not going to, they need due process. And I can't tell you not to look at a case and just decide from go. Again, if you tumble down the rabbit hole and you find out that these people are guilty through that, and you present a large factual case, then I guess you've done your due diligence. But again, you did your due diligence. You let other people look at it too. And a lot of people, again, they'll say, well, Evan Rachel Wood, there are two main accusers in the Manson case, just to use this example. You have Evan Rachel Wood, and she's lied at least 3 times that I know. Big lies, The FBI credential thing, that's a big one. If you haven't heard about that, you go to Manson's Twitter account. You can pull up his counter claim, and he has evidence attached to it. And some of the evidence is damning against her. He didn't go out and he wasn't vocal about it, though. He just started picking up and trying to put together a factual claim. The other person, Gore, Elma Gore, I guess, maybe I'm mispronouncing her name. Her big claim to fame was painting a picture of Donald Trump with a tiny little member. Okay. And if that's your thing, that's your thing. When the 2 minutes of celebrity wore down, though, she said that she was attacked by a Trump supporter in public. Okay. I guess that could happen. When the 2 minutes of that wore down, though, she did it again. And her stories are just, it's like, wow, you're kidding me. She's the one, if you looked up, okay, if you look up the police going to Marilyn Manson's home and going through his stuff, doing a safety check, she's the one who called it in on him. So she decided to harass this guy. Like, she's so scared of him as a monster that she called in safety checks, pretending to be a friend. I mean, there's just all this stuff between these two people. And again, that's enough to make me think, maybe I need to look at this. Maybe I need to figure out what's going on. And people who say that, again, you obviously the cases are different. You don't want to have a straight across the board look at every case as innocent, because that is not the fact at all. There are monsters in Hollywood. There are some repugnant monsters in Hollywood. People that the things that they've done to other people they blow my mind. But at the same time, due process, this matters or it doesn't, right? Oh, man. Everything either is sealed in juvie records or dismissed somehow. You're talking about like her juvie records I'm disturbed by how many people are targeting people openly, planning to set them up to get. It's easy. What it is it's easier than working on something. I can make myself famous by ruining another person. You want to know a perfect example of that people forget? Popcorn Planet. Andy there? Andy was ruined. He was on one of the biggest YouTube platforms out there. He created this stuff. He was accused, and it burned him down. His partners that he helped make successful, they punted him off of the platform. I wish people would call them the hell out too, because they treated him like he was garbage. And in that story, you don't have to like anybody. I like Andy. I've never had a problem with him. In fact, anytime I've ever had a problem, Andy has helped me out. And vice versa. If Andy has a problem, I will try to help him out. But Andy, these people destroyed him, man. I mean, they reset his entire life. Now, luckily, he's turned that into his own thing with Popcorn Planet. But he is one of those cautionary tales that should say people need to rethink it. He presented everything, he proved that he was innocent. He proved it. And it doesn't matter to some people. They still treat him like he's some kind of monster. And I mean, again, that's why cases like this, they matter on another level. Again, I can tell you they matter on a level too, and they do. This case is crazy anyway, and it's interesting to talk about. At the end of the day, though, some good can come from them. And for me, I look at it from a mental health standpoint. I look at it from human rights, also men's rights. Men's rights. I like the idea that this discussion has made men's rights not a dirty word. I do like that idea. Oh man, happy birthday, Tug. Thank you, folks. Like I said, if you like what we do here too, we are not a monetized channel over here. So if you do like what we do though, we have a PayPal link on our main channel. You can support it there if you like to. All of that. I'll probably use it for a computer today. I'm not saying I don't need you to support a computer. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. I can afford my own computer, but that's probably what I pump it into, I guess. Let me pull that. I forgot Walmart. I forgot our Walmart doesn't open until 7 today. I forgot it was Sunday, so that was my bad. That's why I keep talking for a minute. Yes, I was like, wait a minute, I can't. I noticed something else. This is just random, but let me show you this. So on my main channel, we qualified for something that I didn't know existed actually. So check this out. I just want to show you this real fast. On the main front, you see that little button, thanks? Apparently it has a tip jar function. I didn't know that existed. I'd never heard of it before. But apparently people can give you thanks on something. I thought that's kind of weird. So there's super chatting videos. That's kind of odd. Does that have anything to do with anything? No, but I don't know. I just found it interesting. Yeah, let me. I'll link our tip jar if you want, though. While we're talking, I'll link it to the top of the chat. That way, it's there under that umbrella guy. Well, apparently I can't pin it that way. I think I pulled it up on the I didn't even sign into the right one. So you could see it there. I don't know how many mods are even on this channel or anything. Like I said, I've never really gone there. You'd like to donate without a middleman taking their cut. Well, the best way, like I said, the PayPal thing is probably the best because it takes a smaller percentage. YouTube takes a large percentage, but there's no middleman that doesn't charge at all. Like all of them take a cut. But PayPal takes the smallest out of the main one. So like I said, if people they want to deal with that, and if you don't, that's your prerogative too. I don't care, because all good. Amber slammed face first into the wall. Yeah, well, like I said, I talked to a source at Disney. I'm going to do a video about this later, but she's done at Disney. So I've talked about that anyhow with documentation, and I think I can put a pretty good factual presentation through just from documentation alone coming out of Disney. But you know what? It's even more than that. Like she torched her life, and bravo to her. Bravo, I'm proud of her. I'm proud. It takes a fine level of stupid to go and burn your life down that way. Oh, Lord. You can now say ex Aquaman starlet. I think it's even more condescending to say Aquaman starlet, though. You know what I mean? I wish there was a better way. I'd be like, I'd like to use her initials in there, but all I keep thinking of when I say AH, I think of like Aquaman harlot, and I'm like, nah, they wouldn't let me. They wouldn't let me do that there. That certain Aquaman harlot. That would be really funny. I may live stream earlier today. I'm curious on my main channel. Like I could man, almost 900 of you people on here. I can't even believe that. So, Amber Heard, since I titled it this, if you want proof that Amber Heard is guilty, there are 14 incidents out there. 14 of them. Okay. The most egregious ones, though, are the ones that she actually had the most time to set up. All right. The IFOD. Let me pull this up. So her last three claims are her biggest claims. Right. They are, give me 1 minute. They are her claims that she set down, all of them in 2016 or at the end of 2015. Interestingly, that's when she picked up. See, I think she planned this for a long time. I think she had a one plan. Then when he loses his money, she shifts over to another plan. But I think she had been planning a lot of things within her December to January. Let me show you this here. Okay. So this gives you an idea. Now, again, remember, one of these is an added claim too. All right. But from December to May, she claims there are multiple incidents that happen. We're not going to roll all the way back to March. We're going to go to December. Okay. She adds on the James Corden incident. She has the incident in the Bahamas. Now, the incident in the Bahamas fascinates me because there's so much proof that she's lying there. Remember, she says like all of these horrible things happened to her. And yet, I mean, the one thing you have to remember are there are pictures. Like there are multiple pictures of her, that exist. And these pictures, I mean, you can see them all, photo shoots. And she likes to say, well, you don't know what kind of Amica cream she was using. You don't know if she's Amica's or not. Well, I have to tell you, if Amica cream can cover up your entire body, I mean, all the way her underarms and stuff are showing. I mean, again, there isn't a lot that isn't showing in these kind of shots. And when you see that, again, how can you claim this? Not only that, but okay, when she's traveling to when she's after her birthday, where she alleges, Johnny Depp comes in, he does all of these terrible things, which he's like, no. Like, she did this. She did the opposite. You have photographs where they're driving out and you can see her. You can see her very clearly on that. By the way, that, gross. That's so gross. That was the poopage. Ooh, like there's something wrong. Let's just pull that up for 1 second, okay? Like I avoid it like the plague, but just for once, let's pull this up real quick because I want to mention like what is wrong with her? Like what is wrong with you if that's your poopy? Like that ain't a dog's poop. Like there is something terribly wrong with you inside if that's what you're leaving behind in those incidents. I mean, my God, like you need to sprinkle that with TMI. It was, how we found that out? It was entered into UK 2020. We saw it. I mean, can you imagine finding that in your, like leaving that for your significant other in their bed sheets? Like, can you imagine doing that? Because I can't. I mean, there is something wrong with somebody. Very bad. Yeah, I mean, there are like, what are you eating? Glass or something? I'm not really sure what happens to your insides. Maybe she's drinking the Amica cream. Maybe that's what it is. And I don't leave that up very long because it grosses me out to see it. Like it's, I personally would not like to see any kind of, I don't want to see poop jokes and I don't want to see body movement. Like it's just lowbrow gross. It's just all gross to me. But the reality is that she did that. And it, shying away from anything that's in this case gives them kind of a pass there too. Shying away. It's just like the evidence of I heard somebody talking, and I get this. I very much get part of this, where someone was talking about how seeing the fakery that she's done, it's an affront to her as a survivor. And I actually have seen multiple people say this, and it's hard to watch, but at the same time, you are a living testimony to what the reality of that is. If that's happened to you, you are a living testament. You know what it's like, and you also know the damage that people like this do. So shying away from it, it's hard. Like if you have a mental condition, if it brings PTSD on, you don't need to do that. You very much don't. So I get that. If it's just something that you shy away from because distasteful or you're like, ugh, there has to be a happy medium because you effectively can call it out. Because again, this impacts you. This is your advocacy. This isn't just some random advocacy out there where you're talking about it impacting an unknown population. This impacts you because you went through it. You're a survivor, and this person is taking it from you. They're taking your story and they're hijacking it. So anyway, this is her car, by the way, that she claimed one of her claims that she doubled and tripled down on in Australia, in the UK, in Australia, in the UK is the idea that JD would not let her go anywhere. She was locked down. She wasn't allowed to travel. It was horrible. It was an affront. How dare he keep her prisoner? Reality is, though, that she has her own car. Look at her. She's driving. She's going out with friends. He sends security to make sure that nobody harms her because again, she's with Johnny Depp. He talked about the difference in his life, from Pirates before and after Pirates. And it makes sense why he would be so protective. But they're not there to keep her from having fun. Obviously not. When she's talking about on May the 9th, I went out with an unknown male. I ingested copious amounts of illicit substances. I mean, when she's making those statements, you know that he is not keeping her from doing anything. So you notice she hasn't brought that up. Like he keeps her prisoner now. Now it's changed. I find that fascinating. Like she changes her narrative every single time she presents it. No longer does she tell, because it doesn't make sense. Like her UK narrative, absolutely to me, made no sense whatsoever. How are you held prisoner when you can leave? How are you held prisoner when all the people surrounding you are your friends? Like that doesn't make sense. Makes me crazy. And she apparently understood how stupid that was because she hasn't made that claim since. But that wasn't part of a claim, by the way. That wasn't part of her claim. That was her claim. All right. Then you have May 21st, which is the incident 14, the big incident that kicks everything off. The day after that, you have her at parties with other people. This is her the day after that she supposedly had her face mashed up. And nobody at that party saw her with this. See, this is what made people so uncomfortable about it. Celebrities, Me Tooists. This is what made them so uncomfortable because they saw her in real life and they knew that she was a fake. She's a fraud. And they know it. Like they should have been calling. The thing is, though, this is what annoys me. There are certain stars that stood up from Go, too. All right. I'll take nothing from them. People like Robert Downey Jr., like Penelope Cruz, Bardem. I'm terrible with his first name. And so on. There's a litany of people that stood up and talked about him. But for every one of those, there are people that knew the truth and they shut up. And now they're starting to talk. And I have no respect for that. Where were they for the last 6 years? If they were there and they saw this, I mean, we're going on 6 years now from her last claim. We will roll up on it during this week, I guess, actually. No. Yeah, that's the May 21st incident. So May 21st is Saturday. All right. So that'll be the 6-year anniversary of her claims from that. And some people, again, in the aftermath, in the direct aftermath, they sat on their hands because they thought that it would damage them in Hollywood and they shut up because they're afraid of this beast we call Me Too. That says that there is a problem. It also says socially, like I said, I look at people in on social media and they talk about, again, you can look into this case, but don't look into that case. Well, you know what? For years, myself, I know, I'm not just saying this happens to me. I'm saying it happens to anybody talking about this or covering it. We're browbeaten. People tried to bully you out of talking about this because you would be a sexist. You would be a racist somehow. I don't know how you're a racist, but you are. Your every is, because they wanted to other you and they wanted to destroy you. My main channel took 9 strikes during that time where I covered this. 9 freaking channel strikes because of it. Because they were allowed to sit there and target with impunity. And some of the people that did that, some of the false flagging pieces of trash that did that, are now out there claiming, well, I don't really know if I should support Amber Heard anymore. You supported her to the point that you did damage. Not that you did damage control. You did damage for her. You tried to hurt people. You would dox. You would do all kinds of horrible things. It's great that you had a change of heart, but damn. Like, you couldn't bring yourself to look at the evidence before now. It took public about face. It took the public changing. That's the dangerous thing, too, about these public ideas where you can't look into something. People will try to make you suffer for it. You know, like when we started covering this case, and again, I know there have been people that have been speaking out about this since 2016. I very much understand that. I had not seen really a lot pro or con. Like I said, I never really talked about it before. To get me to talk about a celebrity, it takes something. There has to be a catalyst for it, because again, I don't like celebrity that much. You know, it's just not fun. It's a broken thing. If I wanted a role model, I wouldn't pick out a celebrity, right? But when I started looking at it, like right away, people like Incredibly Average were the people that set the record straight on that. And when you saw that same evidence that was right there in her own words, like the most powerful evidence isn't something that I say about this. It's something that she says. If she in her own words tells you that she's an abuser, why don't people listen? I mean, to me, that doesn't make sense. But you know what? What do I know, right? Hollywood Karen. That'd be a good movie. Hollywood Karen. You know, Karen Heard. Her dad, dogfight. Yes. So I did a video on that. That video, if you want to see, if you want to see the discussion about that, on the main channel, not this one, but on that Umbrella Guy channel, I did a video. Let me see. It's entitled. Give me 1 second. I gotta find it. The hell? Just give me 1 minute. It's a dad one. Heard betrays her dad. And the whole point in that video is that Amber Heard's daddy, indeed, he was a dog fighter. Like he was arrested for it, but it wasn't just that. It was the fact that her dad, she stole the story from her dad. You know, the story about what JD supposedly did, that was her daddy's story. Like, when you think about that, that's a powerful statement. She wasn't just taking something that was random and throwing it out there. She was taking a story of something that her father did, the skeletons from her own closet. Like, there are 3 instances I know of where she has stolen other people's stories, other people's claims, or at least been blamed for it. One of those was the instance with Kate James. Kate James talked about in her depositions that she was raped and that the rape story was stolen. So give me a second. I can actually pull that up. I can pull up the dad thing too. If you've never heard it though, look up, like I said, I've got a video on there and it'll show a couple of I actually have 2 videos on it. I have a video when it was first discussed. So if you want to see when it first came up, then I have a video on all of the documents that came out, because he was a dog fighter and it led to the deaths of, like, he was pit bull fighting. And she, in my opinion, she took that. Remember, I think she claims dog abuse, like animal abuse. She says that JD is an animal abuser. The reason I think that happens, this is just my opinion on it, but the reason that I think that she says that is because they don't have children, first and foremost. So when you weaponize something, some people actually care about animals more than kids anyway. Let's just be blunt about it. But um, I think that one of the reasons she did that is because she knew that people, it would resonate with them. She could claim whatever she wanted. And I think she took the story from her daddy. Oh, hurting dogs. Well, she knows all about it because daddy used to do it. Crazy, huh? Now, here's the other story that she stole. This is, according to Kate James, she was not allowed to bring this up in the trial right now, because of the way it works in with hearsay evidence. But still, I think this tells you plenty about her. So, when I was 26 years old and traveling in Brazil, I was violently raped by an unknown male at Machete Point, having been woken by the perpetrator while sleeping alone in a dwelling. The ordeal went on for 5 or 6 hours. I narrowly escaped with my life. This torturous experience of such extreme sexual violence has haunted me ever since, permanently changed the trajectory of my life to this day. Over the years, I have shared this incident with many close friends, family, and therapists. 2013, Miss Heard became aware of what had happened to me as I had talked about it with a friend of hers at her apartment. Miss Heard then summoned me to her office where she sat on the couch and she questioned me about it. She was curious about how I coped with it on a daily basis and suggested I buy a gun. Now, I can't argue with that. I'm a gun carrier. I mean, in the U.S., man, we have 300 million guns out here. So I definitely have a gun. But she says, I was shocked by that because I have a kid in the house. I responded, I chose to see myself as a rape survivor, not a rape victim. That's how I find my own way to cope. And then she says, 7 years later, 25th of June, 2020, I received documents pertaining to my involvement on behalf of the claimant in this case. As I looked that over, much to my shock and dismay, I discovered that she had, in fact, stolen my sexual violence conversation with her and twisted it to her own story to benefit her. So there's a second claim about stealing the story. And then, so I did a video yesterday. Hopefully, people, if you haven't checked it out, make sure you check that video out because YouTube apparently didn't like it. It did well versus numbers, but for one of these, it's interesting seeing stuff start to do well and then get, the algorithm's like, nah, we don't want that to go out. We'll let it perform at a certain level and that's it. But that video, I talked about JD in 2016. He produced pictures actually through Kevin Murphy, who talks about this in 2020, which again, I put in the video. There was a remote control. He says that Amber Heard threw at his forehead hard enough that she cracked it. It injured him, and he was ashamed of it. He was ashamed of what happened because that's how a lot of these people they weaponize it as a male, especially. A male talking about that now. Tug, check your PayPal. Happy birthday! Buy your new microphone. Oh wow, let me check that out. Give me 1 second. Holy crap. Thank you. So somebody just, wow. So someone, you, let me see, who was that? Let me, God, that's crazy. Alec B. Yeah, I want to make sure I never want to call out any name, make sure it's there. Alec B. Let me just, I want to shout this out. That's the biggest donation I've ever had. Okay. It's been a crazy day yesterday too. So like I said, computer dying and stuff. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to spend like thousands of dollars today. So again, for the microphone, damn straight. Alec B, thank you for the donation of $600 through PayPal. Wow. That is, God, that's crazy. Thank you. I don't even know what to say with that. I'm astounded by the level of support that people have provided as we've done this. Again, this has been life-changing stuff for myself and my family. So I can't say thank you enough for people. Like, again, I never thought I'm at a level right now that I love what I do with mental health. So I keep that, but I'm at a level right now. If I trusted YouTube which I don't. But if I did, I could actually try to use that as a day job, but I don't want to. I know a lot of people who do, but I don't trust YouTube. I don't trust them not to demonetize my life, but so I keep around what's there, and but it's astounding. It's that big. And I can't remember who brought this up, but this always stuck with me to talk about how fortunate I've been. And like I said, it's because of you folks. The odds of making it to where I'm at in my YouTube channel, I have a better chance of making it into the NBA draft, not being drafted, but making it to the NBA draft than I do to making it the level I have on YouTube. Like I'm fortunate. And again, I know where that comes from. See, that's what bothers me with Hollywood. When I talk about not liking stars and starlets, what really bothers me is the people like you folks make that happen, right? You gave them that. We did all together, and they don't appreciate it, man. And maybe some people in YouTube I see that or that way too. They think that they matter. And maybe you have something to say, but the people who make you are the people who listen. So, like I said, I appreciate it. That's just me. Like I said, I do appreciate it. That's mind-boggling. So thank you. We got you. I know. Like every time I've done something, comic book or anything, I get nervous about that because you never know if it's going to fail or not. But every time people are like, "Yo, we got you there. You can do whatever you want." What I love about my channel is like a lot of channels get pigeonholed into covering something. When I first started out, I talked about comic books, and I still do. I like that. I talked about customer respect, and I still do. I'll talk about the comic industry sometimes and Warner Brothers. But in 2019, I kept seeing I would cover these allegation cases. I would talk about them when they would come up, and they'd come up every day. Like, I mean, every single day there's a brand new allegation against somebody. That's how commonplace they got. And I would talk about them, and I thought, this is crazy. Then in 2019, I saw the Vic Mignogna stuff. And I'm going to tell you straight up, I hear people that say, Vic Mignogna, blah, blah, blah. Vic Mignogna is innocent. He didn't do anything wrong. His problem was respecting his customers. His problem was actually giving a crap. Like the things they weaponized against him, for example. This man would go at a convention and he would, like, if you wait in line, I watched him do this. Even after he got accused of horrible stuff, I watched him do this. People would get in the line to meet him, and they would spill the most horrible, gut-wrenching stuff out to him and tell him how, like, you made this better. And Vic Mignogna would sit there and he would care. And he had an assistant with him that said, like, I saw this lady do that. She told him the most gut-wrenching stuff. I was sitting there, I was listening. Because again, I went to see how here's the thing about someone. If you accuse them of being, let's just say, a child enthusiast, if you accuse them of being that, they can't hide it. They can't hide it. Like if you're attracted to heterosexual women, or I'm saying women because you're heterosexual, it shows. You involuntarily show tails. Everyone shows tales of what they find attractive. Well, I went to watch Vic Mignogna to see how he acted because he'd have to be the damn best performer ever for me not to notice something in 3 days. He'd have to be. And what I saw, like some of these instances, he sat down with people and they would say that. And he had a guy working with them that would be like, yo, don't get up and hug them. That's what got you in trouble in the first place. Don't do it. And he was just like, I can't help it. That it moves me. They need me. And he would allow people to emote. He would like hug them and, tell them that it was okay and stuff. And people weaponize that. I mean, stuff like that. Like that bothers me. People weaponize other people. They see it as a form of weakness. Like that's something in society that has to change because we've gotten so divided, and you see it in the Johnny Depp case. People have gotten so divided in this stuff that they don't they don't see how you can do something positive. They just see the negatives in it. I saw another person um, sent through a paper. I'm not gonna I can't repeat your name if it's on there. Never will do that, of course. But you know who you are. If you have a message too, if you can super chat that way as well. Like if you go through. Yeah, if you want to back, like I said, if you do, like some people are saying, like there's the PayPal link is on the thing. By the way, I put it in. You notice I'm not signed into this account. I'm gonna have to reset all my accounts except for this one because this one I know off bat. But Tiny Tug, I don't even. The only reason I can stream over here after my computer died is that I that I have so I use this other thing called StreamYards. It's set up to allow me to stream, and Tiny Tug is signed in there. If it wasn't, I can't remember that's sign in. I'm gonna have to reset all the freaking passwords and everything. And I don't want to do that until I get another computer on it. So I'm not even signed in over here. I'm signed into the other account. I don't know. I find that to be funny in its own way. I would pin that is what I'm saying, but I can't because I'm not even signed into this account. Oh, what a crazy day. I like it though. You know what? I don't know. I'm in a good mood. I'm not upset about it in any way. Like I said, you folks, you come through. You crack me up. I'm proud though. I'm proud of what I've seen from people standing up and being loud about it. Because again, there are different aspects of this that matter. The idea of men being able to talk about this stuff happening to them, it matters. Like I have seen male like I got a teenage client one time that had been horrifically sexually abused, and they wouldn't talk about it. But they, and again, you'll get people that won't talk about it. But he told me that he wouldn't talk about it because people would laugh at him and stuff, and they would call him I'm going to say a bundle of sticks, you know what I'm saying, and other things because he was violated. In fact, when people found out about it, that's what they did. They called him bundle of sticks. Again, I'm just going to go with that descriptor there. Excuse me for saying that way. I could say that F word, I suppose, but I think that's a better way of saying it. But he said, it made him look weak, and that needs to change. But the problem is that when men speak up, look what happens to them. Like I keep hearing people say, when women speak up, like Amber, look what happens to her. No, when a man gets abused, look what happens to them. All you got to do is flip the script, and it takes 6 years and millions and millions of dollars to clear it. Like most of us don't have millions of dollars. And again, for women, like women are the main supporters of Johnny Depp. Like what really disgusts me about saying that is some people want to take that as a blame all women. As I say many times, you never believe all anyone. That whole idea of believe all women is trash. But you know what? You don't blame all women either, because blaming all women is trash. Amber Heard is not all women. I've known some very powerful women in my life. My mom was a very powerful woman. Like, independent. She wanted to be her. She did everything she could to be strong and independent, not under the thumb of anyone. And she didn't ruin people's lives. She just wanted to have her own. And it's the same way with I've known many friends, colleagues. I come from mental health. Mental health is dominated by females. And one of the things I hated about that Dr. Hughes, she did such a disservice to my colleagues. My female colleagues out there, they would just I would talk to some of them, and they talked about watching this on the sly, and it made him so mad. Again, bullies for hire like Dr. Hughes. Holy crap. Yeah, I hate them. I hate them because of the disservice that they do to therapists, to women, anybody that can sit on a stand and turn sexual victimization into a gendered discussion is a piece of trash. And that woman was a piece of trash. And I say that with no conviction and not really, but I say that with no shame, very much conviction. No shame though. Um, she's a piece of trash. It's going to show how far being attractive and manipulative. Attractive goes so far, but like I said, people learn skills. One of the things. Let me grab something. I want to pull this out of a book, but I need to walk across the room to grab my book. Okay, so I don't want to read it verbatim, but I want to make sure I say this right. So that's why I'm distant for a second. I'm walking across the room. Okay, so people that are diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, all of that is learned skill. It's not the personality, again, it's traits that you learn throughout your life that you may successfully know how to weaponize later on. And she learned how to successfully weaponize this stuff to the point that she can manipulate some of the biggest names in the world. And yes, sex has something to do with that. But it's not just that. Again, people figure out your weaknesses. I don't know if you've ever been around somebody that makes you feel like you matter, that you're seen, that they see you, that they share commonality with you. That is a powerful feeling. Like if somebody gets you in this world of most people feel so alone, people feel trapped and isolated. That's one reason why when people, I live in a very religious area of the world. Nothing wrong with being religious, by the way. But one of the things that you see are people judging other people's lifestyles. And one of the things that always kept me from being that is the fact that I understand it's hard to connect with human beings. It's hard to feel joy or to feel love. And if you find it anywhere, it's valuable. The problem is that people out there that truly know how to manipulate, they truly know how to divide. They know how to take that feeling that you crave. See, you remember Johnny Depp had a great relationship with Vanessa Paradis. So why did he, after 14 years, walk away from that? Do you think that's because he found the new young Hollywood thing? No. He talked about that's part of it. But the part of it was he found her and she convinced him that she was everything that he wanted around him. She was into eclectic music, eclectic books. She knew all of this stuff. Again, he said on the stand at 25, she was all of these things. And she couldn't be. Like I look at her and she's vapid. Like she is not intelligent. You can tell she's a manipulator, but there is no way in hell all of those claims. I mean, come on, eclectic blues music. Are you kidding me? Unless blues music sounds like this. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. I don't see her listen to it. By the way, I have nothing against that song. That song's funny. My little kids will see that video. They don't really understand it, but that's not blues music. You know what I'm saying? It does give me the blues sometimes. It does kind of depress me when I think. No, I'm just playing. I listen to more like beat music and stuff. People are singing along with it. I'm like, man, unfortunately, I know that song way, way better than everybody loves it. Oh God. Let me see if I see that book over here though. I didn't see it in my first go. There it is. There it is. Yeah, so I wrote down her personality traits. I was keeping up with the trial because again, I think as far as discussion is concerned, here's my other book. Oh, there we go. As far as the discussion for this is concerned, it's an important discussion. And remember, when we talk about let me make this very clear too. When I'm discussing this, if you are diagnosed with some of this, or you know somebody that's diagnosed, diagnostics is just a box to put people in. That does not mean that this is some end all be all. Okay, that's not who they are. The other part of mental health is individual treatment. Okay, so you have to understand that everybody is their own thing, but she is these personalities taken to their worst end. These defects, and these are defects in a personality. For her, again, the borderline personality disorder statement says that her life is underlined by a fear. Let me take the word fear back. Terror of abandonment. And the other part of it, the other personality disorder, the histrionic personality disorder portion, that needs to be the center of attention to the point we're talking about drama along with erratic behavior. So imagine drama combined with being erratic to the point that it's mentally ill, not being erratic where you think, ooh, shiny squirrel. I'm erratic in that nature. I'm very distractible. You can hear it in live streams. You can hear how fast I switch off of stuff. Something fascinates me, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. Shiny squirrel. But I'm talking about erratic as far as personality, as far as moods go. It's mentally unwell. Well, you combine those two things, needing to be the center of attention with this intense terror of abandonment, this perception of any slight being, or every move being a slight. And then on top of that, you think about her being sophisticated. And when I say sophisticated, I'm talking about she has a high functioning way of minimizing problems, saying that they belong to her. When you put all of that together, she's no longer just a nuisance in something. She's dangerous. Like, that's dangerous. You have to think about like those disorders. They also, I always wonder with her, like, how much of this has she convinced herself is real? And I very much mean that. Like, that's not to give her any slack, mind you. I'm messing with something. If you hear something banging around, excuse me. Like I said, I have shiny squirrel syndrome, so I'm messing with something. I noticed a bracelet sitting on the floor and it was tangled, and I was like, "Ooh, shiny." Jeez. But anyway, think about somebody that, again, they have issues with their temper and reactivity. That's what Dr. Cowan said. You have Nurse Filati that talked about her anger and her lack of coping. You have Dr. Hughes that went on talking about, the level she would go to attention seek, like cutting, her self-harm. And when you look at that, again, people with BPD, one of the ways women with BPD will oftentimes lash out is they'll lash out in an extreme, saying that they've experienced physical abuse because they can weaponize that against a man. And it also will allow them to overcome that fear of abandonment because, hey, you can't abandon me, because if you do, I'll blame you for something awful. Oh, there's another person that came through that said, happy birthday. I'm broke, but AF, but appreciate you. I appreciate it. You don't feel that you need to back anything. If you're broke AF, you enjoy the show. But thank you for that. Folks, show. 1,450 people. My God, 1,400 people on this little channel. That's crazy. Hey, make sure, actually, do me a favor on this channel. First of all, make sure to this channel again. One of the reasons it was ready to monetize, right? So this is how messed up it is. I'll tell you how nasty those pieces of garbage are out there. This channel was ready to monetize, and they kept striking it over and over, aiming at it. And one video I ended up having to pull down, and it costed its monetization. So it didn't keep it from, like, it wouldn't meet its monetization level. Here on YouTube, you have to have 4,000 watch hours, which if people just watch streams a few times or leave it playing in the background, it'll hit that. It actually needs 2,000 left, I think. I can't look it up right now, but yeah, if you just leave something playing here and you tell people, hey, there's a channel over, you subscribe to it. Again, things that cost you nothing if you want to do that. If you don't, that's your prerogative too. But I love and appreciate you regardless, like I said. But it's amazing that this channel pulls that many people. I'm reading over comments real quick. Hey, what's up, Hen? You seen the short going around about AH's bruised knuckles? Oh, yeah. Well, I knew, like, I did a little thing about her bruised knuckles where we've seen more public signs of her being a potential abuser since she used the reason I don't believe that seeing pictures in the tabloid is evidence, mind you, but she does. She believes that because the first pictures that she showed us proving that she had been harmed, they came from tabloids. They didn't come from any medical evidence. And you know why they don't come from medical evidence? Because there is no medical evidence in this. That's the reality of it. She can't provide medical evidence because there is no medical evidence. I mean, that's a big problem for her. So if we're going to talk about that stuff, if we're going to bring them in, I just watched Why Him and forgot James Franco and Elon Musk were in the movie together. That's funny. I don't even remember half that. I hate it when I miss live stream. Tugs always has something interesting to say. Appreciate that. Yeah, like I said, I don't know. I don't script anything, or I want to talk about whatever's coming up. I've kept up with the case for years. I found some stuff to talk about tonight too. Like I said, I want to talk about the Disney Association. I want to talk about what Disney sources have to say. I might talk a little bit about what one of her friends actually had to say. Again, I have to walk a fine line with that because I don't have permission to discuss everything in it. But one of her friends hit me up and wanted to talk about some stuff. They wanted to talk about claims, pretty much. They wanted to talk about her claims had adapted over time. And how they needed to be looked into, as it were. And I was like, all right, that would be interesting discussion. So while we're talking about it, what was fascinating to me is they pointed out a few inconsistencies. And one of the stories that they told me had changed a lot over time was Australia. And I thought that was interesting considering Andy, that does all the reports on that stuff. Andy had just pointed out Australia and some issues with that. So like I said, I thought that was a fascinating, tie together when you looked at it. Because you have him, again, pointing out the discrepancies in her story. You have her own friends pointing out, like that's pretty bad when your own friend, or your ex-friend. I don't want to call that her friend anymore. I think that does an injustice to it because this person has woken up to the idea that they weren't their friend at all. They were never their friend to begin with. But her manipulation, her manipulation has gone to the point where, again, if she can convince a Johnny Depp that I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna beat you, and that's normal enough that you'll marry me. Like, think about how she manipulated friends too. She convinces, I don't give them an out when they lied about things. I don't mean to do that. I'm not trying to excuse them lying about something and ruining a life. But you have to wonder, again, if she can manipulate to that level with somebody like a Johnny Depp, then what chance do those people have? I mean, you have to wonder, you know? Yeah, you have to wonder, like what chance again? Like what chance do they have? Setting a video for 7:30 on my other channel. So I will have to I'm gonna be out of here for real in like 10 minutes. We'll talk for another 10 minutes and then we'll be good to go. Sex calls. The freaking well, there's something about Hollywood that attracts broken people, you know? You get sex calls. You get I mean, look at Nexium, for example, the Nexium cult. Look at some of the names that were attached there. You had people that gave up everything because they thought that this guy would add something to what they felt like was a broken life. Like it's not and I'm not saying that cults and stuff don't pop up elsewhere because they do. You have people that look for acceptance everywhere, but it's astounding that like Hollywood, a place where you would think people would actually that would be the highest level of success for a lot of people, and yet look what they get into. Look what they're susceptible to. Like it's kind of astounding, isn't it, when you get down to it? I've never what the hell? Give me one second. I saw a video that was up, and the title was something that, man, there are a lot of these fake places that are putting up videos that are driving me nuts. I'm sure you run across them. The total like, oh, the judge, Amber Heard's lawyer quits. It's like, no, that's not real. But they get, a few million clicks because people thought that was real. I saw one go across. Like I said, I got a shiny squirrel syndrome. So the level of fakery for this, though, I used to have this one place that would one of those that's performing well right now, by the way, that would take my thumbnails every time I would put up and steal my titles and reuse them. And it drove me nuts because it's like, man, I don't want to be associated with this. I don't care what you do online, but I hate people trying to associate me with their fakery. Raw. I want to give a shout out too to like Jax, for example. Okay, so my computer, when it went down, I needed a few documents, and I didn't have access to them. So I and she's helping, so I appreciate that. I'm thinking real quick. Sorry, I'm doing that live, but still, like that's been one of the beautiful things I like about this. People like Laura B, Jack, whomever. Like if I need something because I'm going out and I'm covering this, and I know like Laura B and Jack, they have a much better memory than I do. My head is clouded with a million different things, and I'll forget pieces of stuff, or I'll forget where a document is, or I'll misplace it. Because my ordering system, I forgot to put something in, and like they hook it up. And like I said, I appreciate what they did. I love their their podcast too. You know, Movies, Myths, and Monsters. If people haven't checked that out, look up the podcast Movies, Myths, and Monsters. It's phenomenal. Deb was born June 9th, 1963. Wait, is Tug on Tiny Tug? I know it's shocking, isn't it, Andrew? Like, who is this guy? This was just Tiny Tug. What's up? Are you so surprised about Hollywood when it was founded on fantasy and lies? I'm not surprised. I'm surprised by the level of just oddity there. Oh, you're Andrew. Why am I on here? It's because I was doing a mic test. Like I came on here just to do a mic test, and I've just been on here for a little while. That's why. Like if that's what you're asking, yeah, I came on this channel to. That's all I did. And then I was talking for a minute, and I don't know. I just kept talking because I do that, and I don't know. It just turned into a live stream. Actually, I planned on being here for 10 minutes, but oh well. I think most people understand how my 10 minutes goes. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, if you're assigned to, like, if you've subbed to the main channel or to this one, always check your subscriptions too to any channel that you like, period, because they have a little thing about tossing you off. Well, like I said, I'm out of here in like 5 minutes now, for real. I appreciate you all showing up. Let me pull up one other thing. So let's talk about one other person while we're here. Heck, give me 1 second. I gotta get my other mouse. I have I have a work computer and a regular computer that's set up here. And since my other computer died, now I have a laptop here, and it's just a freaking confusing mess of cords and stuff. I couldn't find my computer here. So anyway, let me see. Let me share one other thing here. Give me a second. If you're, by the way, if you are at Anime Matsuri this year, I will probably go to Anime Matsuri this year. I'll let you know for sure at the end of this month. But if you're down there, then we can goof off, run around, get a drink, whatever. Everybody can hang out. That's what we did last time that I went a couple of years back. There'll be a bunch of people like Ricada, that Star Wars girl, probably Yellow Flash, depending on how that plays out. There'll be a bunch of us out there, so you might want to come to that too. But yeah, on this objections to witness lists, if you haven't seen this, you'll notice Jody G. Now, Jody G was one of the PR people for Amber Heard back when, and obviously Depp's team wanted to speak to her. Why would they want to speak to her? Because they'd like to know what they were talking about on May 21st. But you know what? She dodged the subpoena. She absolutely dodged it. And she dodged it at the advice of Amber Heard's counsel because they're all represented. Meanwhile, she's meeting with Amber Heard's counsel. She's agreeing that she should testify, and they're not telling her you need to go in and you need to honor your subpoena. Don't you find that messed up? I find that just crazy. Was just watching a video discussing elections and Musk. Now there was an accusation that came out. There was an actress and Amber Heard, and they were talking about wild sex parties. All right, this came out a year ago, maybe. I can't remember what this actress's name was. It slips me, but they were talking about them, having relations with Elon Musk, both of them there, which that's fine too, whatever. There have always been discussions about those wild trysts, though, and stuff. And again, I'm very careful in saying this stuff because the same road that you walk that led to Johnny Depp having a problem, you can absolutely walk into that road by throwing around accusations about a person that aren't substantiated. So I don't like Elon Musk. I don't like Elon Musk at all. But at the same time, I'm not willing to throw some of the worst accusations in the world at him because I don't like him. I hope that makes sense. Like, I'm not willing to call somebody some of the things that I hear out there without some proof. It's the same thing that I saw with the PR person for Amber Heard. So the PR person is a scumbag. They are terrible. But there were these accusations coming out about him on a dating site, and all of these accusations, they were second-hand accounts that were coming up. They weren't first-hand accounts. They were second-hand accounts talking about they had talked to some female source, and this female source had confirmed blah, blah, blah happened. Now, for me, that's not enough. I even first-hand accusation, I would need proof. I'd have to have proof. And the proof that was shown was this like random text that, was kind of inappropriate discussion, but I don't even know that it was them or anything. And again, like I'm so leery about that kind of stuff because even like if I tell you I've heard some crazy accusations about Elon Musk, but they're just that. I don't know that they're true. I can't prove that they're true. From the sources I've heard them from, I believe that they would be true, but I can't prove it. And I'm not comfortable throwing that out into the ether unless I can prove something. Elon on Twitter coping with Luna coin crash. Man, all those coins. Anybody, I'll tell you, between a clinical and a, to be a, well, okay, to be a practitioner, like if you're just talking about a practitioner, like a therapist or something, you don't have to have a license. You have to work under someone with a licensure. Now, if you're talking about a psychiatrist, with a psychiatrist, again, a setting is being discussed in there. Like that's part of what you're talking about. There's just a distinction in the way that setting is being discussed. I think that's what you're talking about. Somebody was asking what the difference is in accreditation. I mean, you have to go through, again, there's so many hours that you have to hit with something. It's just like there are different levels of social worker, a social worker before accreditation and after accreditation. It's the same thing with that. I mean, you have to get so many hours in with whatever you're doing when you're meeting with clientele. Like as a therapist, you have to, I forget how many hours you have to do. But again, really a therapist, they can work with you. Like people can work with you with just a specific licensure and stuff, as long as they have a supervisor that signs off on X amount of their work. They have to sign off on, I can't remember, like 18%, I believe it's in the state of Tennessee. Same thing with nurse practitioners. If you look at that and you're like, oh my God, no, that happens with nurse practitioners. Like a nurse practitioner meeting with you, they have to be under the supervision of a doctor, right? And that nurse practitioner has to have someone sign off on 18% of their work, I believe. That's just in this state. Now, I don't know the rules for other states, but I know it in this state because I showed somebody how to design a report to I was showing somebody how to use SPSS, or not. Wait, what was it? I'm trying to remember what coding. What was it? It doesn't matter. We were talking about a different coding languages for something, and I'm not like trained in any of that stuff, but I know a few coding languages. Not great, but I knew enough like on how to track certain type of documents and stuff. And that was so I remember the number on that because it was one of the minimal points that we had to track on that. But anyway, that's too much information. You don't need to know. I find mental health fascinating. Like I'll talk about mental health all day freaking long because mental health is a fascinating field. Again, mental health is just as much a art as it is a science. People when you go in like if you have a broken bone, think about it this way. If you have a broken bone and you go into a doctor, a scan's going to show you a broken bone, right? What if you have a broken mind? When you have a broken mind, you can't just look at the scan and say, this is what broke your mind. This is what's happening. You can do a process of elimination where you go through and you look at different criteria and whatnot, but you can't just easily point to something and say, this is the reason that person broke. This is the reason. It's not so simple. Like it's a much more complicated thing. And there are a lot of people out there that are terrible at it. There are some people out there that are very good at it. Like I'm a pretty good diagnostician, but being a diagnostician too is not. It doesn't really mean anything. Like who I diagnose for? I diagnose to talk to my colleagues so they understand what I'm saying, and I diagnose for the insurance companies. So like when you look at that, don't put all your stock into like when I talk about Amber Heard's diagnosis, it helps you better understand the broader points that we're discussing, but that is not the end all be all. But I love talking about mental health. Yeah, I'm just answering questions in the chat if people are asking. I'm talking to the chat right this minute. Amber Heard says she's not into cocaine, but she was doing well. If you looked at all the interviews with her drinking, like there's just this insane amount of them, Yeah, it's easy to cover and repair an open wound, but if you got a wound in your mental health, like you just keep bleeding until you commit suicide, and that's true. We see that. We see that quite a bit. We see that quite a bit. People that are just they're broken until the Kevin Costner tweet sums it all up. Yeah. Trolls in the house. People can troll. It's okay. It's all right. We're going to end in a second anyway. Got like 2 minutes left. So I only like effective trolls though. I really want a tug video on tips where to start healing. Where to start healing and the correct type of person you go see to overcome DV. Well, there's specialists with violence. You need to look up a specialist for it. Again, if you're poor, like if you're impoverished, you don't get a lot of choice with that. That's why when I say I see people, I usually see people that are stabilized because that is not my specialty. But sometimes if you are impoverished, if you are working if you're in an area where we live, we don't have a lot of providers that are going to take Medicare or something, for example. There are not many out here. And you don't get a lot of choice, because so sometimes you see people that don't have specialization. So it really depends on your insurance, first of all. But if you have insurance that will let you see anyone, if you're working with like, say, Blue Cross or something, then you can look up almost anyone, find out what their payer ratio is. They'll cover like 12 usually sessions a year. Maybe they'll only cover 10, just depending. So again, find out how much they'll cover, find out how much you're going to pay of it too, because typically an intake costs it starts at $150 is usually an intake, depending on, again, in an area like this. Like if you live out in New York, I'm sure your prices are much higher, but out here, It's a lot different. So, but you do want to look up somebody that has a specialization in that, because again, if you're dealing with something, most people most people can teach you about coping skills. They can teach you about, anger management. These are things that you can research and understand easily. But dealing with like domestic violence, the first thing with domestic violence to understand is if you're in a situation like that, walk away. It ain't going to get better. Walk away. I realize you're going to have to uproot. It's going to be uncomfortable, but they may kill you. They may kill you, and they don't love you. You know, like that's a reality. You need to remove yourself from that situation. And then after that, if you're talking about healing in the aftermath, that's when your therapy component comes in, you know, because you don't need to be convinced that you need to walk away. The only person that, if you're going to a therapist and you're dealing with violence, interpersonal violence, where we have a partner that's become violent or very volatile towards you, you've got to remember that, again, this idea that of who they are or what you're going to return to, that's only an idea in your head. It doesn't really exist. You have to get to that point. The one person that has to be convinced of that is you. If you're going to a therapist talking about it, then you've already convinced yourself. You're possibly lying to yourself if you stay in that situation. I mean, really, you have to sit down and you have to talk to yourself about it. I'm just saying, like, that may not be you, but yeah. Good therapy is sadly expensive, though. You know what, though? Okay, here's you a very easy understanding for therapy, though. You're looking for somebody to talk to, and you're looking for some coping skills. All right, coping skills you can research on your own if you can't afford it, and you need to remember that if you go into a therapist, you want goals. Like, what they'll do is they'll talk about goal setting with you. All right. Say you're going in, it doesn't matter what label I give you, unless you need medication. If you need medication, that is a different story. But if it's just therapy, if you're just going for talk therapy, you need to acknowledge what the issue is, and not like for example, I had a client come in, and this client was talking about identity and all kinds of things about identity, and they were thinking about having changes, which is not a specialization for me either. That would be someone I would end up sending to someone that better understands that discussion. But what the real problem was none of those things. The real problem was that these folks were depressed and they were anxious. That's what they were coming to me for. They were talking about, all of these things. They make them depressed and they make them anxious. So you need to identify what your real problem is when you're going in. You have to want to change it, and you're going to have to set goals that are concrete. Not, I want to feel better. What does feeling better actually mean? Like, you have to define those things. Like, people like Amber Heard never do any of this stuff because they don't want to change their behavior. They don't acknowledge they have a problem. But when you're getting there for other things, we're not talking about personality disorder. Even in personality disorders, you can want change. If you acknowledge there's a problem, you acknowledge that you are the issue there and you're causing it, you can want changes. But once you do that, remember, once you identify concrete goals, you have to go further than that. You have to figure out how to get there. And remember, it would be just like, I tell people this, like if they come in and meet with me, they're sitting in a chair in front of me, right? If they want to go to the door, that was their goal, right? They're going to get to the door. Unless they unless they can teleport or something, the only way to do that is by taking steps. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to realize that every goal has steps. You need to set down steps on how to get there. Some days a step is as easy as getting out of bed because it's that difficult. It's easy to identify is what I mean, It's so easy to see because, like depression, some days you can't even get out of bed because it's so bad. That's your step, getting out of bed, and you keep moving forward. And you remember, we're not climbing a mountain here. So If you find yourself walking on flat ground, you're not going backward. And if you do find yourself slipping and going backward, well, you know what? You can plant your feet and you can move forward again. Once you figure out how to do that, and once you look at coping skills that will help you, you identify them, you figure out how to use them properly. One day, it can be like a switch flips in your head. And once that switch flips, bam. It's strange. Like some people never experience that in their entire lives. The flip. I've experienced that in my own life. Like like when I was younger, I was shyer and stuff. But when I got into adulthood, I was just like, I'm comfortable with me. I like me. I got to the point where I'm happy with who I am. And when you get to that point, if it's like a switch flips in you, you become unassailable. The world cannot hurt you. People cannot hurt you because they cannot diminish you, because the only person that can diminish you is you. You choose to let people diminish you. You know, other people will try, but you let them in because you are the ultimate gatekeeper, you know, and you can figure out how to effectively deal with depression. Like it's all in seeing the world. It's perception. What you do is you're aligning your perception differently. Now, again, you may need medication for some of this stuff, but it's fascinating. Again, the therapist, a good therapist, is guiding you towards self-realization. You're the therapist in that situation. You're the one figuring out the issues. They're just helping you get there. They're never supposed to tell you this is what you do. Now, if we're talking about DV or something like that, you may need somebody to tell you this is what you do, this is what you need resources for. You may need that help, but you already know the baseline. You got to walk away, you got to do this. And then in the treatment, in the aftermath, you need to know how to carry forward. You need help with that. But a good therapist, again, for many issues, most issues in life, you already know a lot of the answers. It's just you have another person there that is not your friend. They're not your parent. They're nobody else. They're helping you walk that path of self-realization. I hope when I say that, I hope it all makes sense. I think the way I'm presenting that, I think that makes sense. With or without religion, good people can behave well, and bad people can do evil. Oh yeah, religion. We all have. It's the same thing with law. You know, we all have this. We have self-imposed guidelines like religion, law, morality. They're self-imposed guidelines about good and evil. When we look at that, really, it should be a guideline on how to treat your fellow person. I always look at it as how I would want to be treated, and I try to maintain it that way. Now, I felt sometimes I can be an asshole sometimes. I can. I think we all can, but yeah, that's the truth. Anyway, all right, 1,500 people listening to this. Man, you me rambling on about mental health. That's awesome. I'm going to end here, though. I think this has gone on. I hope you folks enjoyed this morning. I went on much longer. How long did I go on? I meant to go on 10 minutes. That was the original. And then I said, well, I'll go 30. Where do we go to? 2 hours. Good God. Today, sometime we will have a live stream on the main channel. Make sure, by the way, okay, do this for me, if you would, in 6 minutes or 5 minutes. Yeah, wait. No, it's 6 minutes right now. There will be a video come up on that umbrella guy. It's going to be called "The Judge Rex Heard for Using Fake Proof. The Media Admits It." Make sure to watch that when it comes up, because you know, if you see something, if you know people put something out there, if you watch it right away and you watch it all the way through, it will push it. And YouTube will say, oh, people like this, and it'll recommend it. So if you like a content creator, make sure to push stuff like that for sure. But anyway, I will be on later. It is my birthday today. I'm going to goof off and have fun, but I'm going to go see if I can find a computer real quick. So I appreciate you folks popping in here. I'm going to, what's that? Ooh, is that sexy shark? Sexy shark. Sexy shark. Let's see. I'm going to play some Sexy Toast to lead us out. Man, it's sexy. All right. But anyway, we will have a live stream later on today. I might do it a little earlier today. It depends on what's going on. Yeah, keep an eye out on the main channel. And until then, we will see you. Appreciate you, folks. Thank you for showing up.